So I'm hoping to keep this video real short. I'm really not going to get into many examples at all. I'm just going to show you how group frequency tables are really can be interpreted as just frequency tables. So the last video you just watched with those two examples about that, we can look at a group frequency table as being the same kind of thing. Right? So first, what the heck is a group frequency table? A group frequency table is where instead of saying, oh yeah, there were 5 1s and 3 2s and 7 6s, you're looking at groups of numbers. So you're saying, okay, between 0 and 10, like including 0 and including 10, there were 5 of those. Between 10 and 20, there were 2 of those. Between 20 and 30, there were 3 of those. Between 30 and 40, so what you're doing is you're looking at groups. And a lot of times, again, statistics is a lot about data representation. Instead of saying, oh, there was 1 2, and 1 3, and 1 4, and 1 7, and 1 8, we'll just say, look, instead of, like, let's not do them all separately. Let's just say there were 5 of them in this range, right? So now, you may be looking at this word histogram. What the heck is a histogram? You guys probably know this better as a bar graph. So when somebody says histogram, it just means bar graph, right? And really a bar graph is a frequency chart, or a group frequency chart, right? So if you had this data and wanted to draw a histogram, a bar graph, you could sort of say, all right, well, on this axis I'm going to have my data. On this axis I'm going to have my frequency, right? So if this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'd have, okay, well, between 0 and 10, let's see, I'm going to have to go 20, 30, 40, 50. Between 0 and 10, there were 5 of those. Okay, so we would go up to the 5 marker. Okay, between 10 and 20, there were 2 of them. Okay, so between 10 and 20, there were 2 of them. Between 20 and 30, there were 3 of them. I'm like astonished at how straight these lines are coming out. This is amazing. Now that I've said that, the next one's going to be terrible. Between 30 and 40, there was 1 of them. And between 40 and 50, there were 6 of them. This is really the one that's going to be bad. Yeah. Whatever. I'll take what I can get. And there you go, right? It'll happen on the IB exam sometimes that they won't give you a group frequency table. They'll give you a histogram. They'll give you this thing and say, okay, cool, figure out what the mean is. And really, to figure out the mean, you're just going to look at it and say, okay, well, here is this thing. This is really just a grouped frequency table. But even that group frequency table, and this is the important thing, this group frequency table can be expressed as a frequency table. And it's going to be, this cheats a little bit, but not really. I'm going to do the same thing, x and the frequency of x, right? And the idea is I'm going to choose a representative number, right? If I have numbers that are between 0 and 10, I could just say, look, for simplification purposes, let's just say that's a 5. Let's say there are 5 5s. And you may be thinking, like, whoa, that's crazy. What if they were all 10s? They could be, but this is the data I have. The best I can say is that the average between 0 and 10 was 5, and so I'm going to say they were 5 5s. Right? Similarly, between 10 and 20, I'm going to say on average that's probably 15, and so there were 2 15s. Right? Between 20 and 30, the average of those is 25. There were 3 of those. Between 30 and 40, that's 35. There was 1 of those. And between 40 and 50, that's 45, and there were 6 of those. Right? So it's sort of like, if they give you a group frequency table, you're just going to take these things and sort of choose a representative number from each. These are called class intervals. So you're going to choose a representative number from each class interval, and now we can use the method we did in the previous lesson, in the previous video, to figure out what the frequency, to figure out what the mean's going to be. Right? So hopefully you recall from last time, you'll do something like data times frequency plus data times frequency. 25 times it happened 3 times, 35 it happened once, and 45 happened 6 times. And we divide by 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 6. I don't know if I had intended for us to work this out, but I'm this far, I might as well finish it. This is 25, 30, 75, 35, and 90 times 3 is 270. All divided by 17. So let's see here, and the way it's worth you guys seeing this. The way I do this is I combine numbers that work well together. So I'm going to say 25 and 75 is 100. I'm going to say that 30 and the 270 is 300. And then I've got the 35 on the end. So when all is said and done, I'm looking at this being 435 over 17. And I'm just going to stop there and say that looks pretty good to me as far as an average mean for this set of data. Okay. So that's what a histogram is. It's basically just a bar graph. That histogram is really just a grouped frequency table in disguise, and that group frequency table can be converted into a regular frequency table that we can use to do calculations about mean. Usually not about median and mode, because those are weird for something like this, but at least for mean. That's all I've got in this one. Good luck with the assignment.